So this is a lower quarter rotation test. This test measures the amount of internal and external rotation of your hip and lower limbs on each leg, and these are key components for a strong and powerful golf swing. So the research shows that it's paramount to get proper loading in the trail hip in the backswing, but also proper posting here on the lead hip during the downswing. So the research also shows that most golfers present less than 40 degrees of rotation, internal or external, on both hips, whereas the PGA Tour average is around 60 degrees. So we're going to use a 6-iron for this test because the lie angle is roughly 60 degrees, and I'm just going to show you now how we set up for the lower quarter rotation test. So first we'll get a 6-iron, pop that on the ground and get some sort of stick and place that along the lie angle of your 6-iron. Then we're going to stand, we'll start with the left leg first, with your foot facing forward, leg straight, using your other toe just for counterbalance. From here, we're just going to rotate to your left and just have somebody note from the side here how far around your hips have rotated. Does it rotate further than that 60 degrees? Is it equal to it, or is it less than that? We'll also then do the same for your right leg. So this is a downswing movement for a right-handed player. And again, see how that external rotation is looking from this view. Then we're going to swap sides. I'm going to flip that over. Now we're going to do the backswing. So we'll start with the right leg. We're going to turn to the right. And straight away you can see this is the area that I have real limitations in and have for a long time. It shows up in my golf swing as well. So you can see I'm not even close to 60 degrees there. Something I'm constantly working on. And then the left side, then to the right there. So that's how we test what it is we're looking for. And now I'm going to explain how that might show up in the golf swing and some areas that we can work around to still help you play some good golf. So now let's talk about how some of these limitations may or may not show up in the golf swing. So firstly, let's talk about the trail hip for a right-handed golfer. If there's a restriction here in internal rotation, let's say, such as the restrictions that I have in my swing, what you may find is as you take that backswing here, as you have limited rotation in this hip, you may then see a shorter backswing. Or you may also see some people, in an effort to get a longer backswing from here, they may then start to get in what we call a reverse spine angle, which can also have a negative effect on the way down and in downswing, as it can then tend to send the weight a little bit back to the right here in the downswing. So that's a couple of things you may see there. Also a limitation here, you may also see a slide in the backswing as well. Again, which can make it cause some problems here on a downswing when we're trying to get back to the ball. So a couple of ways you can work around this on this particular hip is you can artificially rotate that right foot, flare that toe out a little bit at setup to just help you with this rotation in the backswing here. That may allow you to get a little bit more rotation, as you see here as well. And what I don't mind sometimes also is some players allow them to straighten this right leg in the backswing. It helps them get the hands higher and can help with that rotation. I'll just show you from this view. So if there's a limitation here, to help lengthen that backswing, we can sometimes straighten that leg and help get the hands higher, as long as it doesn't cause the player to come back into this position here. If that's what starts to happen, then that's not something that as a coach I would teach around. I would certainly just get them to have a shorter swing and work on freeing this hip up. That's probably the way to go. So this is where it's very individual, but ultimately we do want more rotation and more chance of more club head speed, again, which is going to equate to more distance. So that's the trail hip. When you look at the lead hip, if there's a limitation here, that can show up in the downswing as we come into impact. This hip can then get blocked. What I see quite often is this lead knee will then tend to buckle a little bit in an effort to sort of get some rotation from elsewhere. That is a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion. We definitely don't want to be getting rotation really from the knee. So that's where, again, it's set up. You could artificially rotate that foot, again, just flare that out a little bit to help with that rotation. That would be more of a short-term solution. Ultimately here, we'd like to perhaps free this hip up a little bit because we're swinging at such high speeds through impact. We want to be using that ground force. We don't want to be having too much pressure coming through that knee when it doesn't need to. Okay, so that's an area definitely to look out for as well. What you may also see is some kind of excessive slide in a downswing this way if there's a limitation in this hip. And also, if I show you from this view, you may also see what we call early extension, which is where the hips thrust towards the ball a little bit, and that can cause some issues as well. So hopefully that kind of explains a couple of the more common things we see when people present with limited results in this particular test, and just some of the ways that we may or may not work around it depending on the individual and their goals and the time that they may want to put into perhaps working on some of these areas. So hopefully that gives you some of an insight into what it is we do there. Any questions, please feel free to comment below. And if you'd like to book in a TPI screen here at the Golf Centre, feel free to jump on to perthgolfcentre.com.au, click the Book Now button and try and find a date that's suitable for you. And I really do look forward to helping you optimise your swing very soon.